I still remember that sound clearly. Not a scream, not footsteps, but the sound of metal slowly dragging across asphalt. Crack, crack, crack. And when the sound stopped right behind my car, I realized one thing. If I turned around, I might not have time to run. Hey, if you're listening to this story alone at night, I suggest you put on headphones and don't turn off the lights just yet. What I'm about to tell you is something I experienced myself, not a legend, not a story I heard from someone else. Before we continue, please support this channel by subscribing, liking, and turning on the notification bell. Your support is what allows stories like this to keep being told, even though some of them should probably stay buried. Now listen carefully, because one small mistake I made almost cost us our lives.
That night felt normal. Too normal. So normal that I didn't realize I was walking straight into the biggest mistake of my life. I just wanted to clear my head. The city felt suffocating, filled with noise and people everywhere. I wanted silence. And for some reason, silence always made me believe everything would be fine. I drove without a clear destination, just following the road as it grew darker and darker. The shop lights disappeared, houses became rare, until finally, all that lay ahead of us was a narrow road cutting straight through the forest. The trees stood tightly packed on both sides, like black walls swallowing the glow of my headlights. I've been here before, I told Emily, more to convince myself than her. The truth was, my memory was vague, too vague to call this place safe. I turned off the engine in an old parking area. The asphalt was cracked and peeling. There were faded tire marks, like cars that had stopped here but never wanted to stay long. The moment the engine died, the silence pressed in on my ears. No wind, no insects. It was so quiet I could hear my own breathing. Emily smiled, trying to lighten the mood. "This place is really empty," she said. "Yeah, nice and quiet, right?" I replied quickly, even though my chest felt heavy for no clear reason. I rolled the window down a little. Cold air rushed in, carrying the smell of damp soil and something else, something strange, a faint metallic scent that stung my nose. I rolled the window back up and laughed at myself. It was probably just my imagination. But the feeling didn't go away. The feeling that we shouldn't have stopped here. The feeling that this place wasn't truly empty. I glanced at the rearview mirror. No one was there, just the dark road disappearing into the trees. Still, one thought kept looping in my mind. What if something had seen us first before we even realized it was there? And that night, without realizing it, we had already made a stupid decision. At first, I thought the uneasy feeling would fade on its own. It usually did. Anxiety came and went. But that night was different. The longer we sat inside the car, the more it felt like something was pressing against my chest from the inside, slowly, steadily. I tried to distract myself by turning on the radio. Static immediately filled the cabin. Krr, krr. I twisted the knob, hoping to find music, anything to break the silence. Instead, a broadcaster's voice came through, broken and distorted, like the signal was dying. "Warning to all drivers, avoid the parking area. Reports of a suspicious individual." I tensed up. My hands tightened around the steering wheel without me realizing it. "Did you hear that?" I asked quietly. Emily leaned closer.
"Sounds like the news," she said. Before I could respond, the voice came back. A tall man, armed with a sharp weapon, right hand, shaped like a hook. My heart slammed against my ribs. The word hook came through far too clearly in the static. I shut the radio off immediately. The cabin fell silent again, but somehow that made everything feel worse. Emily let out a small laugh, though it sounded forced. "Probably just a story to scare people," she said. "A local legend, right?" I nodded. I wanted to believe that. I needed to believe it. But for some reason, my mind went back to the tire marks on the asphalt earlier. Too many for a place that was supposedly rarely visited. I glanced at the clock. It was past midnight. Not a single car had passed since we stopped. No night birds, no wind. The silence felt wrong, like the forest around us was holding its breath. I turned toward the window, watching my own reflection in the glass. For a brief moment, it felt like my reflection moved a fraction of a second slower than I did. I blinked and focused. Nothing, just a reflection. "Hey," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. "Do you feel it too? Like we're being watched?" The question sent a chill up my spine. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say it was just our imagination. But before I could answer, that feeling came back, stronger than before. The feeling that the radio hadn't just been malfunctioning, that the warning wasn't meant to be heard, but to be followed. And we realized it too late. I don't know exactly when the atmosphere changed. There was no clear sign, no sudden bang, just a feeling that slowly crept in, like cold water rising from my feet up to my chest. The air inside the car felt heavier, as if the oxygen was thinning for no reason. I glanced at the clock on the dashboard. Time was moving slowly, too slowly. Emily leaned back in her seat, but I could see her eyes constantly shifting, restless, darting to the window, then back to me. And that's when I heard the first sound. Crack. My body stiffened. It was faint, almost like an illusion. I held my breath, trying to figure out if I had really heard it, or if my mind was just playing tricks on me. Then it came again. Crack, crack. Not from the forest, not from far away, but from behind the car. I checked the rearview mirror. The headlights reflected off an empty road. No one there, no movement, but the sound was real, too real to ignore. "Hey," Emily whispered, her hand gripping my arm. "What was that?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. My heart was pounding too hard. I rolled the window down slightly, hoping to hear it clearly. I regretted it instantly. The night air rushed in, carrying a sharp metallic smell that burned my nose. At the same time, the sound grew closer. Creak, like heavy metal being dragged across rough asphalt. I rolled the window back up quickly. My fingers were shaking. "Relax," I said, though my voice sounded strange even to me. "It's probably just someone passing by." I didn't believe my own words. The sound stopped. Silence wrapped around us again. But this time, it wasn't calm. It was waiting. I could feel cold sweat running down my back. My heart was beating so loudly I was afraid something outside could hear it. Then, bang! Something slammed hard into the back door. The car jolted violently. Emily screamed, clamping her hands over her mouth. I gripped the steering wheel instinctively, as if the car itself could protect us from whatever was out there. The cabin light flicked on automatically. Outside, I could hear heavy breathing. Too close, too real. And when the sound of metal returned, this time dragging slowly along the side of the car, I realized something that nearly made my legs give out. Whatever was out there had already found us. The car lights turned on, and in that single second, I wished they never had. Standing right in front of my car door was something, or someone, that froze my entire body in place. He was tall, too tall to be standing like that. One shoulder slanted lower than the other, his body slightly hunched, as if his neck was struggling to support the weight of his head. His face was swallowed by shadow, but I could feel his stare cutting straight through the glass. His left arm hung stiff at his side, but his right arm wasn't normal. Hanging from it was a massive iron hook, its curved tip razor sharp, the metal catching the glare of the headlights. A dark liquid dripped slowly from its edge, hitting the asphalt with a soft tick, tick. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. He dragged the hook along my car door. Creak. The sound of metal scraping against paint was agonizing, like fingernails dragged across bone. I felt the vibration all the way through my ribs. Beside me, Emily sobbed uncontrollably, begging me to do something, anything. The figure tapped on the window. Tap, tap, slow, patient, like he knew we weren't going anywhere. I turned the ignition once, twice. The engine didn't start. Panic took over. My hands shook violently, sweat dripping down my temples. The metallic smell grew stronger, mixed with damp earth and something rotten. The figure slowly raised the hook. I could see the muscles in his arm tense. I could hear his breathing, heavy, uneven. Emily screamed as the tip of the hook smashed into the side window. Crack! Fractures spread across the glass like a spider web. I screamed without sound, twisting the key as hard as I could, pleading with the engine that now felt like a useless, lifeless object. And between Emily's screams and the sound of metal slamming into glass, one thought hit me harder than anything else. He wasn't in a hurry. He was enjoying every second of it. And when he lifted the hook for the second time, I knew that if the engine didn't start now, this story would end right here. The engine finally roared to life in a moment that felt like a miracle. The sound tore through the suffocating silence of the forest. Without thinking, I slammed my foot on the gas. The tires screeched, the asphalt burned with the smell of rubber, and my body was thrown back into the seat as the car shot forward. The hook struck the glass one last time. Bam! The side window shattered partially. Shards of glass exploded into the car, slicing into my arm. Emily screamed hysterically, curling into herself in pure terror. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I kept my eyes locked on the dark road ahead, praying the forest would finally end. When the lights of nearby houses appeared in the distance, my legs were shaking so badly I could barely press the pedals. I pulled the car to a stop in front of my house, and only then did I realize I was crying. Not sobbing, just silent tears, like my body was only now understanding that we were still alive. The police arrived 15 minutes later. They searched the parking area. No footprints, no witnesses, no other reports that night. It was as if everything we experienced had never happened. Until one of them pointed at my car. Hanging from the rear door handle was a large iron hook. The paint was scraped clean. The tip was still wet. And when an officer tried to remove it, he suddenly froze because there were pieces of human skin caught in the curve of the hook. No one spoke after that. Emily was never the same. She stopped going out at night. She woke up every time she heard the sound of metal. So did I. Even now, the clink of chains, metal hitting the ground, or keys scraping together makes my chest tighten and my hands shake. We survived, but part of us was left behind in that empty place. And to this day, I believe one thing. The Hookman didn't fail to kill us. He simply let us live, so his story would keep being told. Since that night, I've learned that not every quiet place exists for peace. Some of them are empty because people stopped going there, and not without a reason. There are things that are meant to remain legends, not because they aren't real, but because the truth is too dangerous to ignore. If you're hearing my story, take it as a warning. Don't dismiss your instincts. Don't laugh off even the smallest warning signs. Sometimes fear is the only way your body knows how to protect you. Thank you for staying and listening until the very end. If this story gave you chills, if your heart beat a little faster, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it. Your support keeps dark stories like this alive and keeps the warnings from being forgotten. That's where I'll leave you. I'll see you in the next video. And remember one last thing. If one night you stop somewhere that's a little too quiet and you hear the sound of metal dragging behind you, never turn around.